Scandal for Real continues. Once again, Nick Watt.
And number 3, the one you've been waiting for. Anthony Weiner and the sex scandal in which the politician never actually has actual sex with anyone. It's a real-life scandal that is, well,
So Anthony Weiner was an incredibly ambitious New York City congressman.
And then this picture of Weiner's wiener invaded our living rooms and our waking nightmares. He thought he was sending this sexy selfie to this girl. Instead, he accidentally tweeted the picture of his wiener to the whole world.
He didn't understand the technology.
And then tried to lie his way out of the humongous hole.
Look, this was a prank that I've now been talking about for a couple of days.
I want to talk about it until the end of days, because look at this.
Every day starts right here.
Weiner is married to Huma Abedin, the brainy beauty who traveled the world as Hillary Clinton's aide.
Did you send the tweet? The answer is I did not send that tweet. My system was hacked.
I totally believed him. I thought it had to have been hacked. I mean, why would you be tweeting a photograph of your crotch to people?
But just tell me definitively, is that a photograph of you?
We're trying to find out where that photograph came from. The photograph doesn't look familiar to me, but I don't want to say with certitude it maybe didn't start out being a photograph of mine, and I can't say for sure.
What dude doesn't know what he looks like in the mirror? I mean, come on.
But then, alas for the man who claimed he couldn't recognize his own bits and pieces, more photos and tweets of it went public.
I've exchanged messages and photos of an explicit nature with about 6 women over the last 3 years. To be clear, I have never met any of these women or had physical relationships at any time.
And wife Huma was actually pregnant while her man was sending other women snaps of his wedding tackle.
Oh, I can explain why politicians, why they're constantly involved in these sex scandals. It is contrary to what they tell us, that, we're just such testosterone-pumping alpha man. It is complete dorks who finally have been able to get a girl interested in them.
Weiner called it a day.
Today I am announcing my resignation from Congress.
Now, Scandal must have taken inspiration from Weiner for their rather similar episode.
Senator Richard Myers, by day he represents the great state of Washington. By night, he's a perving, sexting pervy perv who uses the handle Redwood Johnson.
Gross.
Because, well, as they say, you just can't make this stuff up. Still, with short news cycles come short memories, and this summer, Weiner ran in the Democratic primaries for mayor of New York City, shooting to the top of the pack until Sidney Leathers burst onto the scene.
And now the latest on the Anthony Weiner sexting scandal. Speaking out for the first time, Sidney Leathers.
About the raunchy text messages she exchanged with the New York mayoral candidate.
He even had a sexy online nom de guerre.
It's Carlos Danger.
Grr. Game over. Carlos Danger.
Let me just reiterate to my wife.
Look at his wife's face.
I am that I did these things, and how sorry I am to the people that got these messages.
The wheels were off Weiner's wagon. Soon he was fighting with a guy in a bagel store and,
Yeah, it takes one to know one, jackass.
unsurprisingly, lost the primary. And was kind enough to show us all, with his middle finger, how he really felt. At least he didn't show us his wiener again. The Weiner scorecard, marriage, intact, career, he'll be back. Coming in at number 2, hello, Eliot Spitzer. Anyway, Spitzer's another New York City street fighter, an attorney general turned state governor, keeping an eye out for the little guy.
Who's number 1?
He was the sheriff of Wall Street. He was the Eliot Ness.
Dirty money and dirty sex were his prey. Clamping down on sex tourism, Spitzer made it a felony to patronize a prostitute in New York. In March of 2008, federal prosecutors were closing in on an upscale prostitution ring. And client number 9, oh dear, was none other than Eliot Spitzer.
New York Governor Eliot Spitzer under fire this week for his involvement.
He spent about $100,000 over a 2-year period.
Spitzer surprised me. I mean, he was New York City elite. And then to imagine this guy calling up and asking for Busty Betty.
Actually, she was called Kristen. That actually wasn't her real name either. No, she was Ashley Dupre.
He looked familiar, but I was 22 years old and I didn't know who he was. And I was whoever they wanted me to be, and he was whoever he wanted to be.
Time out. I don't care who he wanted to be in the bedroom. Caught with his pants down, Spitzer held his hands up.
I've disappointed and failed to live up to the standard I expected of myself. I must now dedicate some time to regain the trust of my family.
Here we go again, the good old resignation speech.
Over the course of my public life,
loyal wife by his side,
I believe
desperately trying not to look furious.
Regardless of their position or power, take responsibility for their conduct. I can and will ask no less of myself. For this reason, I am resigning from the office of governor.
We'd spent 2 years working for someone who we believed in so completely, and to see that come crumbling down in an instant was just a defeat for all of us.
Oh dear. Spitzer's scandal tally, marriage, still hanging in there, career, just went for the job of NYC comptroller and lost the election.